Honorable Mulungi on the issue of the proprietary rights on the software, especially the issue of the contracts that are signed by IEBC and assignment of copyrights to people other than this country. I think we must ensure that the amendment does not in effect, because elections touch on the sovereignty of the Republic of Kenya and the people. When you assign such rights to the exclusion of IEBC and the people, then you are essentially saying that the sovereignty of this country by contract has been assigned to third parties. That issue needs to be addressed. On the issue of the creation of the political parties regulatory authority, I think we must give clarity on the link to which how this can address two things. One is the mischief of this question of dimming. This dimming thing must be so clear that when you move from a political party, you actually resign so that you don't have a situation where people can take you around in courts up to the Supreme Court and still enjoy the benefits of the parties that sponsored them. But that is not the only thing that has weakened political parties. There is the second issue, which is the question of the political parties fund. I would have been happier if at the same breath that we were taking the CDF funds to the Constitution, these political parties funds should have been graduated in the Constitution itself. We are currently going through the budget process. And I think one of the presentations that we should have had today is an analysis of the estimates. What have they put in these estimates for political parties? Because this is how you erode the strength of political parties. And lastly, how do we deal with the historical accumulated arrears that the Court of Appeal gave? Unless we can address this thing, we are only addressing half of the problem that relates to the strengthening of political parties. Thank you.
Very much. I think Zain will answer the one related to elections, and I might give the ED of ODM to talk a little bit. I saw his write-up on the Standard. I think he has the Senate. But
why can't we conduct our elections so that I can know that in Ndhiwa, candidate A won, candidate B lost, and the media can even project who is going to win the ticket? Why do we have BOMAS? Where does the chairman of BOMAS get the power to conduct the presidential election? Secondly, when you say that you have a commission will be a majoritarian institution, the commission will declare on the basis of majority. Who tells you the majority cannot rig? Last time we had 3 on the side of rigging and we had 4 on the side of the upholding the results. We could still have a flip that 4 were rigging and 3 were upholding the results. How do you cure that? So for me, the presidential thing, if we can terminate the presidential election in the constituency, will eliminate a lot of problems. These things of transmission of whatever will not be there. That's what the law says. Let the returning officer conclude the presidential election in his constituency and declare the results. Then the other person. Then BOMAS, I don't even know if we'll need BOMAS. So I'm really saying that we try to look at that architecture to see how it will work for us. We are also looking at the question of public finance. When I look at, already the estimates are in Parliament, you'll again get a situation whereby we are going to get, first of all, the Finance Act is basically a mechanism for raising funds approved by Parliament. But when you look at what happens in Parliament, the National Assembly, we always get an approval of expenditure. Parliament is never given a chance, and the public, to approve revenues. So when we come up with a Finance Act to collect the revenues, who has approved those revenues? We need to begin insisting that the revenues and the expenditure come out in the Appropriation Act. And finally, we need to look at how public funds are controlled and utilized. And I'm looking at Chapter 12. If you look at Chapter 12, it's very clear that the Treasury is not part of the executive. But the Public Finance Management Act fused the two. So even find like for us who are in the county structure, the Treasury, the executive fulfills its needs before it considers the counties. We should have an independent Treasury that is away from the presidency so that the president cannot ignore the budget passed by Parliament as he goes around the country declaring goodies as if there was no budget controlling how public finances will be used. So I think we needed to look at that and see to it that if we just have fidelity to Chapter 7 on the elections and fidelity to Chapter 12, we shall resolve the problems bedeviling this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The public eye, Zain will demonstrate to you that we are with you on that election. Everything you have said about the polling, the constituency is already there, but he'll explain. Honorable Faki, then Honorable Sosi.
Thank you, Professor. I want, first of all, I want to agree with Senator Kajwang on the import of the Statutory Instrument Act. I made a proposal to amend the standing orders of the Senate so that a member from the party not in government will be chairing that committee. But our Speaker overruled that proposal, despite the fact that the Technical Committee of the House had agreed with my proposal. Number two, I was looking at the issue of audit of the elections, where the proposal in the bill was to allow the chair of the IBC to audit, if I'm not mistaken, to audit, to present an audit report. Now you can imagine if CHEBUKATI was to do the audit, what will he have said in that audit? So we need to relook at that proposal so that an independent office does that audit. They are supposed to file reports in Parliament, but I don't think any was filed for the last general election, because they used to file reports which were considered by the JLAC of both houses. But in this year, I haven't seen, or in the last election, I haven't seen that audit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, Honorable Zain will answer that. I think that's what even 138(4)H envisages. It's just that IBC doesn't do it. Honorable Sosi, then Honorable Fatuma Network.
Thank you, Prof. Maybe if you can allow me to comment on opening of servers, which someone asked, that we talked about opening of servers, and servers have not been opened. I've gone through the amendments, but one low-lying fruit, which I think the coalition should think about, is that in the Election Act, it provides for a joint technology committee between IBC, the political parties, and I think we have a few government agencies. And that provision was amended along the way after 2017 election to give IBC the discretion to have the committee or not to have the committee. So when we went to 2022 election, IBC just did not initiate that committee. And that's why you could see that a lot of the technologies they brought, the political parties were not very conversant. But in 2017, there was that committee. And that is what gave us a great chance of even winning the case at the Supreme Court. So what I would suggest is that we need to propose an amendment so that we make it mandatory for IEBC to have that IT technology joint committee. And that will help us deal with issues of servers, issues of procurement, issues of the nature of technology, issues of data, and all that. The other issue is the amendment to the Political Parties Act. Yes, I know from the amendments, the new authority is going to have representation from the other parties, which are outside government. But then the elephant in the house is not that. The elephant in the house is financial independence of the office of the registrar of political parties. If that is not there, then we'll still have challenges. Because even now, the registrar of political parties, despite the fact that the law provides that 0.03% of the national income must go to political parties, the executive decides to vary that all the time. And she cannot do anything. So I would propose that apart from having that new authority, we need to have an amendment so that we give the new authority financial independence so that they cannot be manipulated at the whims of the executive. The last point which I want to just comment on the speech by His Excellency Kalonzo on the aggressions by this regime. One aggression which I think we need to speak to, which senators who are here agree with me, is there is a deliberate scheme to kill devolution in this country. We see things happening, some of the functions which are devolved, clear schemes to take them back to the national government. And even and I want to thank our members who are in the National Assembly. They stood so firm on the issue of division of revenue. You know, as a result of the Finance Bill Act which they passed, counties are going to require an additional 34 billion shillings to finance the effects of the Finance Act which they passed. And now, they are saying that they cannot increase money to the counties. They can only increase 6 billion shillings. I think what we need to do as a team, as a MEO team, is that those who will sit on the mediation committee, they need to go there with one issue, that we want to retain the 415 billion shillings. They are telling us that, oh, if we go for 415, CDF will be reduced, Sijui Kera will be reduced. We are not talking about reducing Kera. We are simply saying this is what you have as a national government and this is what we should have as counties. So I want to urge this team that we stand firm against any attempt to kill devolution. And surprisingly, they have even taken over COG. And some of our governors ignorantly are in bed with this government. They come and tell them, look here, we want to help you finance this function like CHPs. We'll give you 50% counterpart funding. And they agree. But slowly by slowly, these functions are going back to the executive. The issue of alcoholic drink registration, you heard yesterday Deputy President saying they want to take over. So I think we need to stand firm, and this is one of the things that we should be talking tough, apart from the cost of living issue.
Very much, Honorable Sosi. I think again that will be answered, but